I wanted to get really high up in the high country and look for elk, so I'm working my way up the mountain. And at the end of this meadow, about 80 yards away, here's this sow grizzly and 2 cubs of the year, really small cubs, kind of step out. And so I see him like, oh, okay. And she happens to see me move at the same time, and she turns and looks at me, and then she runs up the trail and just disappears. I'm like, okay, that's a good bear.
Pretty
she doesn't
normal.
like people. She's heading out of here, you know? So I waited 30 seconds and didn't see her. So I'm going to head up the other direction to the east, and I'll go the opposite way. I'll never see her again. So I took a few steps and all of a sudden heard something and turned and looked over my left shoulder, and she had dropped her cubs and came down the ridge and circled behind me, probably getting my wind, And then as I hear something and turn, she's 30, 40 yards away, coming wide open down the hill.
So she circled you fast.
So she just dropped her cubs, and within a minute, she had made a circle all the way behind me. And she was just coming in wide open. Her ears are laid back, and she's low to the ground, just charging on all fours. And I just, I had a pistol with me, but instinctively, because used to the Forest Service, when I'm only carrying bear spray, I've always practiced with that so much. So instinctively, I have my bear spray clips right here on my chest, on my backpack belt, chest belt, and I just pulled that out of the thing, pulled the safety out, looked back up, and she's at like 30 feet. Just in that second, she'd covered all that distance, and she's
still
right
at full
there,
sprint,
full on. So I sprayed like that, and she just came right through the bear spray. Just her momentum, they're 30, 40 miles an hour downhill. Her momentum just carried her right through that bear spray. And I just turned and hands behind my back and went face down on the ground. And immediately she was on top of me. And she bit me 5 or 6 times in my right arm, in my shoulder. And then she started coughing a little bit from that bear spray was getting into her sinuses.
Did get her then.
Yeah, it did. It just took a couple seconds, because she came through it so fast.
So much speed.
Yeah. And so she just all of a sudden started coughing, and she was gone just that quick. And so I got up and I'm like, oh, wow. And I got puncture wounds on my arm, on my shoulder. And so I'm like, all right, guess I got to go down and get some stitches, So I picked up my stuff and started down the trail.
Yeah.
And I probably had gone a few hundred yards, just a few minutes. And there's a kind of a creek crossing there. And I was just about to cross the creek, and it's kind of noisy from the water running. And all of a sudden I hear something, and I kind of turned, and just out of the corner of my eye, here's the bear again. And I think she had...
That is insane.
I don't think she followed me. I think what happened is she picked up her cubs and came down the ridge, because there was a big canyon on the other side. And I think instead of crossing this big canyon with her cubs, she came down the open ridge. And I'm on the trail paralleling her, basically. And so I think we just came, bad luck, randomly came back together again. She saw me down on the trail, attacked me. She recovered from the bear spray and attacked me a second time.
That is terrible luck.
She hit me. I was still standing, and I just turned like that, saw her. She hit me from behind and basically knocked me down right onto my face, into the dirt.
Did you have any bear spray left?
I did have some, because I'd only given her just one,
Squirt.
1 second blood, and then she'd been on me. So I did have more bear spray, and it was in my hand even, but it happened so quick, I had no choice to even do anything. It was just boom, knocked onto my face, bear spray's gone. And immediately I put my hands behind the back of my neck to protect my neck and my head and face, and just curled up in a ball face down. And the first bite was in this arm. And I heard the crunch of the bone when she broke my arm, and she ripped these tendons, took a chunk of meat out. And that initial pain. And I just went, and I made this noise and kind of flinched and pulled my arm away. And that, making that movement just triggered this frenzy. And then she would just,
instinct.
Yeah. And then she just picked me up, and she would shake me like a rag doll and toss me. And I'd fly over 20 feet and hit the ground. I would just roll face down, curled up again. And immediately she was back on top of me again. Just boom, like that. And she'd bit this arm probably 25 times, my shoulder. At one point, she kind of half turned me, bit me in the side. I had canine marks in my side, but luckily they didn't puncture through, just, surface bite.
That is so lucky.
And and just crazy how strong they were. I was just, I was a rag doll. There's nothing I could do. And I just kept focusing on holding, pulling everything as tight as I could together, and that strength of, your core strength to keep up in a ball and not let her open me up, because I knew if I got flipped over on my back and I'm face up like that, she was going to tear my face off or kill me or something, and I'm like, I got to stay face down and protect myself.